Let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like your mind just won't shut up? Like you're constantly bracing for something to go wrong, even when everything seems fine? You lie in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, and there's this tight feeling in your chest, an unnameable tension, like a storm is coming, but you don't know from where. You check your phone, you check your email, you replay conversations, obsess over decisions, predict every worst-case scenario, and still no relief, just more unease. Let's be honest. You've probably been told that what you're feeling is a disorder, that anxiety is a malfunction in your brain, something to be fixed, medicated, or hidden. Society teaches us that if you're anxious, you're broken, that you should strive to be calm, chill, unbothered, like those Instagram-perfect people who meditate on mountaintops and smile in every photo. But what if I told you that's a lie? What if the very thing you've been trying to escape is the one thing that makes you powerful? This isn't some sugar-coated self-help fantasy. This is the raw truth discovered by one of the most courageous minds in modern psychology, Rollo May. Unlike those who saw anxiety as pathology, May looked deeper. He realized that anxiety is not just a problem, it's a signal, a message, a call to awaken. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. You are anxious because you are aware. Aware that your life matters, that your choices shape your destiny, that time is running out. Animals don't feel anxiety the way humans do. They react to threats in the present. A lion charges, you run. Simple. But humans? We live in the world of what if. We see 10 possible futures in every decision. That's not a flaw. That's a gift. You're not broken. You're awake. And that constant unease, that buzzing tension in your gut, that's the cost of having a conscious mind. A mind capable of imagining, creating, anticipating, and reflecting. You're not supposed to eliminate anxiety. You're supposed to alchemize it. That's what this video is about. By the end of this, you'll understand that your anxiety isn't your enemy. It's a form of inner intelligence, a compass pointing toward what matters. It's not something to medicate into silence, but something to listen to, question, and ultimately transform into action, courage, and meaning. This isn't a video for people who want easy answers. This is for those ready to stop running, to confront the truth, to turn inward, and reclaim the power hidden in their restlessness. You've been told to suppress your anxiety. I'm here to tell you to respect it. And if you stay with me, you'll learn how to wield it. Are you ready to stop fearing your anxiety and start using it? You've been taught to treat anxiety like fear. That tightness in your chest, fear. That sense of dread before a big decision, fear. That gnawing restlessness that follows you from room to room, must be fear. But Rollo May was clear about one thing. Anxiety is not the same as fear. Fear has a target. You see a snake, you're afraid. You're about to lose your job, you feel fear. Fear is specific. Fear says, that thing right there might hurt me. Anxiety is different. Anxiety has no clear object. It's a fog, a tension that hangs in the air without a name. It whispers, something's wrong, but won't tell you what. And that's what makes it so terrifying, but also so powerful. You see, fear protects you from danger, but anxiety prepares you for possibility. It's the inner stirring that says, there's something more, something uncertain, something that matters. It's the tension between what is and what could be. Rollo May called anxiety the price of freedom. You feel anxious because you know you have to choose. You know that life offers 1,000 paths, but none of them come with guarantees. You feel anxious because you're conscious, because you understand that every decision, every single one, carries weight. You could fail, you could lose, you could regret, but you could also create, build, become. Anxiety is the dizziness that comes when you realize you are not a machine. You're not bound to instinct or programming. You're a free human being standing on the edge of your own becoming. And that's overwhelming. But it's also sacred. This is why May warned us not to pathologize all anxiety. Not all anxiety is a sign of dysfunction. In fact, he believed the opposite. People who never feel anxiety are often asleep to their own lives. They live in denial. They coast through life numb, obedient, never confronting the fact that they are responsible for shaping their reality. You feel anxiety because you're awake, because your mind is trying to stretch toward a future that hasn't happened yet. And instead of running from that tension, you need to learn to work with it, to aim it, to channel it. But how? How do you transform this raw, undirected energy into something constructive? You don't need more numbness. You don't need distraction. You need alchemical tools, ways to convert psychic tension into insight, creativity, and courageous action. And that's exactly what we'll explore next. Let's dive into the ancient process of transformation that Rollo May brought into modern psychology and see how to alchemize your anxiety into power. If this content is making sense to you, click the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support. Let's go deeper. If anxiety is a natural part of human consciousness, if it's the price we pay for the freedom to imagine, choose, and create, then here's a crucial question. Why does anxiety feel so unbearable today? Why does it seem like we're drowning in it? Rollo May had a sobering answer. He believed that the problem wasn't that people had become weaker. The problem was that society had lost its ancient frameworks for holding anxiety. We still feel it, more than ever in fact, but we no longer know what to do with it. You see, in the past, anxiety had context. It had ritual. It had community. It had meaning. Religious practices gave us symbols and stories to hold the uncertainty of existence. Community gave us belonging. Rites of passage, marriage, funerals, sacred traditions offered structured ways to face life's deepest fears: loss, aging, death, failure, the unknown. These were not just traditions for tradition's sake. They were containers. Containers that helped us metabolize existential anxiety without being consumed by it. But what happened? We replaced ritual with routine. We replaced meaning with productivity. We replaced community with performance. And in the silence that followed, anxiety grew louder. Modern life, with all its technological advancements, gave us comfort, but stripped away depth. We scroll endlessly, chase dopamine hits, pretend we're fine. But under the surface, something's off. We feel untethered, anxious. And when that anxiety rises, we don't have language for it. We don't have practices for it. We just medicate, avoid, or numb. But here's the truth. You can't out-scroll your anxiety. You can't outwork it. You can't bury it beneath distraction. It will wait. It will fester. It will knock louder until you pay attention. What May saw, and what few psychologists dared to say out loud, is that we've created a society that produces anxiety, then punishes you for feeling it. You are expected to function like a machine in a world designed to overwhelm your nervous system, and when your soul starts to scream, the system calls you disordered. But maybe your anxiety isn't a malfunction. Maybe it's the most honest part of you. The part that refuses to settle for a life without meaning. The part that knows you were meant for more than survival. So what now? If we can't go back to old traditions, if the modern world has left us anxious and unprepared, then what can we do? This is where the work begins. In the next section, we enter the turning point. You're going to learn how to take this overwhelming, undefined energy called anxiety and transform it. Not by running from it, not by killing it, but by alchemizing it. Let's begin the transformation. Now that you understand anxiety is not your enemy, but a raw, untamed signal of your inner life, the question becomes, What do you do with it? This is where Rollo May takes us from theory into transformation. He didn't just analyze anxiety, he offered a way to work with it, to alchemize it. Not by trying to cure it like an infection, but by guiding it like a wild, intelligent force. And the first rule of this inner alchemy is this: anxiety must be given form. Think of anxiety like electricity. Left uncontained, it burns and short-circuits everything it touches. But when it's grounded, when it's directed, it can light up entire cities. Your anxiety is psychic electricity. And if you don't learn to channel it, it will consume you. But if you do, it becomes power. Pure, focused, generative power. This begins with one practice: naming the storm. Most people feel anxiety as a vague, foggy sense of dread. Something's wrong, but I don't know what. This is where the suffering begins, because a problem you can't name is a problem you can't face. And so May's first alchemical tool is simple, but revolutionary. Turn anxiety into questions. When you feel that weight in your chest, stop running. Grab a pen, open your journal, and ask, what future am I afraid of? What choice am I avoiding? Where do I feel out of control? What part of me is being denied? It sounds simple, but don't underestimate it, because the moment you put language to your anxiety, you begin to contain it. And when you contain it, you can act. Let's take an example. You feel anxious about your job. You tell yourself, I'm just stressed. But that's not precise enough. You dig deeper and ask, what exactly is making me anxious? And you discover it's not the job itself. It's the fact that you know you deserve more. You want to ask for a raise, but you're terrified of rejection. That's the root. Now your anxiety is no longer a nameless enemy. It's a signal pointing you to an action. Prepare, research, plan the conversation. You go from paralysis to movement. This is how we begin to reclaim our power. By understanding that anxiety is unchanneled energy waiting to serve a purpose. But this is only the first step. Because even when you name it, even when you direct it, anxiety doesn't vanish. It still lingers, still pulses beneath the surface. And often, it reappears in your life as a deeper message, one that reveals a more brutal truth. You may be living inauthentically. In the next section, we'll confront this head-on. Because sometimes, your anxiety isn't just a sign you're overwhelmed. Sometimes, it's a sign you're betraying yourself, and it's trying to wake you up. You've named the storm. You've started to give your anxiety a shape, a direction. But what if that direction points to something even more uncomfortable? What if your anxiety is not just a warning, but a verdict? Let's not sugarcoat this. Many people walk through life wearing masks they don't know they're wearing. They smile when they want to scream. They say yes when their soul is begging them to say no. They stay in jobs, relationships, routines that feel safe on the outside, but rot them from within. And they wonder why the anxiety won't go away. Rollo May believed that persistent, chronic anxiety is often a sign that you are living in contradiction with your values, performing a life that is not truly yours. You're not just afraid of failure, you're afraid of abandoning yourself. This is what May called inauthentic existence. It's when you go through the motions of life without aligning your actions to your truth. When you let fear make your decisions. When you avoid the hard conversations, delay the needed changes, and convince yourself that someday is a plan. But deep down, you know the truth. Your anxiety knows too. That rising tension you feel when you enter that office, that tightness in your throat when you say, I'm fine, that dull ache in your gut when you imagine living like this forever, that's not random. That's your psyche protesting. That's your inner world screaming, this isn't who I am. And here's the harsh reality. The longer you ignore that voice, the louder anxiety becomes, not because it wants to hurt you, but because it wants to wake you up. So here's the next question, the one that changes everything. Where are you living in bad faith? Where are you pretending you have no choice, when deep down you do? Ask yourself, what decision have I been postponing for months or years? What conversation am I too afraid to start? Where am I performing a role, being the good employee, the perfect partner, the obedient child, at the cost of my own truth? These questions are not for the faint of heart. They require honesty, brutal, life-altering honesty. But the reward is liberation. Because when you stop avoiding and start acting in alignment with what you truly believe, something extraordinary happens. The anxiety shrinks, not because it disappears, but because it finally has nothing left to scream about. You're no longer betraying yourself. You're listening, you're moving, you're choosing, and your nervous system knows it. But here's the next challenge. Even when you start living more truthfully, anxiety still shows up, not as your enemy, but as raw energy, surging through your body, looking for a channel. And the most powerful way to transmute that energy? Creation. In the next section, we'll explore how some of the world's most inspired thinkers, artists, and innovators didn't eliminate their anxiety, they used it. You'll learn how to turn that nervous energy into art, expression, impact, and why your anxiety might just be the fuel your creativity has been starving for. If what you're hearing resonates with you, you'll find real value in my ebooks. Beyond the Shadow breaks down Jung's core ideas, while Dialogues with the Unconscious gives you a 30-day path to apply them in your life. Both are linked in the pinned comment. There's a reason so many of the world's greatest creators were anxious. Kafka, Van Gogh, Virginia Woolf, Sylvia Plath. These were not calm, centered, well-adjusted people. They were tormented, restless, torn apart by their inner contradictions. And yet, what did they do with it? They created, they wrote, painted, composed, performed. They took that unbearable, unnameable energy surging through them and gave it form. They turned anxiety into art. And in doing so, they not only survived it, they transcended it. Rollo May saw this clearly. He didn't believe artists were free from anxiety. He believed they were experts at navigating it. He wrote, "The creative act is a courageous encounter with the forces of one's inner world. To create is to confront your inner chaos and shape it, to bring something out of the void and say, this is mine, this is real, this is me." Think about what happens when you don't channel your anxiety. You ruminate, you spiral, you pace around your room, you pick up your phone, you look for something to numb the unease. But the unease doesn't leave. It festers. It becomes tension in your jaw, weight in your chest, fatigue in your bones. Why? Because your body is holding psychic energy that has no outlet, and like pressure building in a sealed pipe, if it doesn't move, it breaks you. Now imagine this. Instead of spiraling, you sit down to write. Instead of numbing, you pick up a paintbrush. Instead of overthinking, you sketch, build, record, move. You don't have to be an artist. You don't have to be a genius. You just have to create anything. A paragraph in your journal, a melody on your piano, a messy drawing that no one will ever see, a business plan, a poem, a voice memo where you finally say what's on your mind. Because when you create, you take back authorship of your own inner life. You stop being a passive victim of your anxiety and become its interpreter. Anxiety is not just fear, it's imagination. It's your mind seeing possibilities, futures, risks, and potential. That same mechanism that visualizes catastrophe is the one that can dream up beauty, vision, and purpose. This is why many creators say their best work comes under pressure. Not despite anxiety, but because of it. The urgency to express, to capture what's fleeting, to release what's boiling under the surface. But don't stop here, because while creativity gives anxiety a voice, there's something even more powerful: action. Not just expressive action, but courageous action in the world. Action that changes your life, action that disrupts the pattern, action that defies the fear and builds something real. In the next section, we're going to talk about creative courage, not the kind that waits for fear to disappear, but the kind that acts anyway. You'll learn why waiting to feel ready is the trap, and how real power comes from doing the thing with anxiety, not without it. Here's the final illusion that keeps millions of people stuck in lives they silently hate. The belief that you have to feel ready before you act, that you must wait for the anxiety to fade, for the clarity to come, for the fear to subside before you make the leap. But here's the cold truth: that moment will never arrive. The kind of life you're craving, the meaningful one, the creative one, the bold one, requires you to act in the presence of anxiety, not in its absence. Rollo May called this creative courage, the ability to take action, not because you're fearless, but because something inside you is more important than fear. This is where most people get it wrong. They wait, they prepare, they rehearse. They tell themselves, "I'll quit when the timing is right. I'll speak up when I'm more confident. I'll start creating when I've figured it all out." But the longer you wait, the heavier the anxiety becomes, because deep down, you know you're avoiding the thing that matters. Courage isn't loud, it's not glamorous. Sometimes, courage looks like sending the email you've been avoiding for months. Sometimes, it's making a phone call that terrifies you. Sometimes, it's opening a blank document and typing the first, raw, ugly sentence. Sometimes, it's walking into a room and finally telling the truth. And here's the paradox: the only way to shrink anxiety is to move through it, not bypass it, not silence it, not wait for it to evaporate, but to take one small step while it's still humming in your chest. Because every time you act with anxiety in your body, you teach your nervous system something crucial. This feeling doesn't control me. You build proof that you can carry fear and still move forward. You become resilient, not by eliminating tension, but by learning to hold it without collapse. So the real question is, what action are you avoiding right now because of anxiety? Is it a conversation, a decision, a project, a truth you haven't dared to admit? Here's your challenge. Don't wait until the fear is gone. Take the smallest possible version of that action today. A whisper, a gesture, a beginning. And when the anxiety rises, name it. This is fear, and I'm acting anyway. That is the essence of creative courage. Not superhuman boldness, but human vulnerability in motion. That's where transformation lives. And remember, you are not alone in this. Millions of people are waking up to the same truth: that anxiety is not weakness, it's untapped power. And the more you engage with it, the more it teaches you what matters most. So now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, what is one thing you've been postponing because of anxiety? One step, one decision, one act of courage that you know would change something in your life if you finally faced it? And if this video spoke to something deep inside you, don't stop here. Keep watching the next video and let us continue this journey together.